It is on this day, March 14th, 2025, that I finished Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Getting right into non spoilers. This book was everything I hoped it would be. It is everything it looks like it would be. Um, don't judge a book by its cover, but some books have covers that tell you everything. And I think this is one that really does it well. You get to see the actual characters on the cover. You see the lattes, you see all the bakery goods, and you just know, like, at the start of the book, you're like anticipatory. You're like anticipating what will come. You're anticipating this scene that's on the front of the book. And I think that made it a lot more enjoyable is knowing that you were in for a cozy read, knowing you were going to get a kind of cafe vibe throughout the book was very fun. Um, so, very cozy book, very, like well paced, slow book to kind of go with its coziness. It's very quick read, very simple, direct. It doesn't take a lot of energy to read. The prose is very, very approachable. It's like really approachable. Um, pretty direct, straightforward. It has some like humor to it. It has a bit of humor to it, and a few unexpected twists that I wasn't anticipating. There's one really big twist I wasn't anticipating, but like the twists don't really knock it out of the cozy zone. It's still like a very fun, just joyful read. It has a lot of good world building. A lot of it is world building you would recognize if you have any kind of familiarity with D&D, Pathfinder, or any of those things. But even if you don't, it's very quick to pick up and be able to follow what the different races are and what the different background is. There's a little bit of new magic, or at least new terminology for magic, but you don't really need to understand it that in depth. It's pretty straightforward. And again, it's written with such a good prose that it's very approachable. I know I already said that, but I'm just emphasizing it again. Pretty direct, not all that confusing. Like, I think the first chapter or two, I was like, what is that? Regarding like one particular item, but the book explains it thoroughly throughout the book. So, really, it's you don't have to take like notes or anything, unlike certain other authors I know. Um, I love all the main characters. Um, at least all the protagonist characters. They are absolutely adorable, and I fell in love with them very quickly. Like pretty much within like the first few chapters of meeting each of them, I fell in love with them. There's one character in particular I fell in love with him more and more throughout the book, and I wasn't sure how I'd feel about him, but he kind of grew to be one of my favorites. One of the other characters is absolutely adorable. There's actually two absolutely adorable characters, and they have given me ideas for my next D&D character. So there's that. A lot of inspiration. I have to say, one con to reading this book is I am now craving Baldur's Gate 3 again. So, oops. Not really a con, but also is a con because that game takes up so much of my time. um, love a lot of the characters. And spoilers, I'm mostly going to talk about the characters I love, to be honest. Um, I did mention that there's a plot twist that caught me off guard, so it's not entirely like a very straightforward book of like there's no conflict at all. There's still some stuff sprinkled in, um, but overall it's great. It is a bit gay. I always wondered before I read this book what kind of level of gay it would be, because I wasn't sure if it would be just very like direct or if it's very indirect in the background, those kinds of things. I knew a lot of my ace friends, asexual friends, really loved this book. So I always wondered if the characters were asexual or if it just was very palpable. And I think it's the latter. Having read it, I think it's a very palpable level of gay where it's not very forced, it's very natural. It's not a plot point, really. I mean, it is a plot point, but it's not. Um, and it doesn't feel rushed or like any of those things that a lot of books do. I think I had a few complaints about Winter's Orbit. To be fair, Winter's Orbit was a forced marriage plot, so I already knew I was going to be iffy from the start of that book. But this is a lot more my pace and level compared to Winter's Orbit. I enjoyed this a lot more. I also wish there was a little bit more. It's a balance. I am completely content with the amount that was in this book. I am very happy with the amount that's in this book. I also wouldn't be too adverse to like a sequel or something with more of it. Just saying. Which, by the way, the third book will be out this September, I believe. So soon. Um, but very also like happy LGBT. Um, and there's a lot of great representation of the various races in D&D. And it doesn't just skip over the fact that there's a lot of racism in D&D. It still mentions it and brings up that that's a thing in the world, but all the characters are from this variety of races that usually are undermined, and you can see them supporting each other, which is also great. So I love that as well. The last two things I have for non-spoilers is that it's kind of a cliffhanger in a weird way. It's not a cliffhanger in terms of like the next book. It's just a cliffhanger in that you want to know about the rest of their lives, you know? It's such a it feels like a quick ending when it's really not. It's just you want more. You just crave more. So this is one of those kinds of books. You have been forewarned. Um, and the epilogue is not what you'll expect. I think that's all I have. Mostly for non-spoilers. We got the pros, we got the world building, we addressed the magic, the pacing, the characters. Love the characters. Love the characters a lot. I think that's probably my favorite thing is the characters. A lot of them have really grown on me. The food descriptions. Okay, one last thing. Be cautious. The food descriptions are really good, and you probably will get hungry. We usually get these like frozen chocolate croissants. We being my roommates and I usually get these frozen chocolate croissants, and this is the one trip we didn't buy them. And then I read this book that has certain baked goods in it, and I've been craving those chocolate croissants like every freaking day I've read this book. So you've also been warned. The food descriptions are really good, and even the coffee descriptions sounded really good. Even though I don't like coffee, I don't drink coffee, I don't like coffee. It still sounded great. This is somewhere I would go to study for like my calculus exams and whatnot. Like this sounds like such a cozy, fun place. So very fun read. Love it an awful lot. We'll get into spoilers where I'll mostly just talk about the characters and the plot twist that caught me off guard. Not really have much commentary on it though, I'll be very honest. So going to spoilers. Don't listen to spoilers if you don't want spoilers on this book. It's a very short book. You could just probably go pick it up and read it pretty quickly. Someone in the back said wholesome. That's a very accurate word for this book. It's a very wholesome book. Anyway, we're starting spoilers. Viv grew on me an awful lot. Tandri grew on me. I really thought that we would know more about Tandri's backstory than we got. I actually had a theory that Tandri had previously worked with like various groups, but it seems like her history was mostly just about her race and the things that she's processed and gone through as a result of how people treat her, which ow that that point kind of hurt a bit. But I really thought there'd be more to her story, so I do still want to know more about Tandri, and I still want to know more about life at the end, where Tandri has a home with Viv, and how they interact, and how they learn to be able to share each other's backstories and whatnot. They technically don't know each other that well. They do know each other very well. I mean, they work well together, and they see each other every day. But I don't think either of them have really talked much about their backstories because they've tried to get away from something. But I still feel like it'll probably come out eventually. So I kind of want to know about that aspect of their relationship at the end of the book. I'd be very intrigued to hear. They technically never actually got together. There's just the implication. So that's kind of what I meant by like palpable, palatable. Palpable's a different word. Oops. Um, it's not like in your face. It's not like very official or whatnot. You complete the gap, which really works well in my opinion. I feel a lot of authors don't use that a lot. The fact that the readers can complete the gap without you having to like put everything in front of them. So, personal opinion a little bit there. Thimble is absolutely adorable. I love Thimble, the little ratkin chef. He's so cute. I want art of him. I hope there's art of him. I haven't looked, but I hope there's art of him out there because he's so cute. I want my little ratkin chef. I want a little ratkin baker. It's ironic because my friends and I have actually been working on a campaign where we're all small animals. So this is also giving some inspiration for that as well. Let's see. Cal is the one who grew on me over time. I liked him pretty quick, I'll be very honest. But his characterization being pretty static throughout the book actually really helped. I've part of me thought all the characters were going to be like round in some way, like they were going to grow in some capacity. But having a lot of the characters like Thimble and Cal actually kind of stay static felt right to me. I don't have reasons why per se, but I think it felt pretty balanced of like the massive change Viv is going through and some of the change Tandry's going through. But when it comes to a lot of the background characters, they're being the same, they're just part of her life. And I think them being part of her life is what makes it feel round and satisfying and enjoyable. I really thought Cal would be there more, but it makes sense that Cal isn't there a lot. So, anyway, I love Cal. I also like Viv's old team. I didn't know if we were going to be able to see them throughout the book, but I really like Rune the most, my little dwarf guy. And I think also, what was that guy's name? The chess guy. I like the chess guy a lot as well. A lot of like the background characters, like the bard. I can't remember everyone's names. I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry. But there was the bard, and there was Lack, and Laney. Like a lot of those characters, I'm more neutral on. I was like intrigued when they appeared, and I wondered what would come of them. I think out of all the main protagonist characters, Laney's the one I'm the most shrug about. She just was there. She didn't do too much for me, honestly. But that's okay. Honestly, it's more normal for a book to have some shrug characters because it's not like every day we go around noting every single person in our lives, you know? So, it makes a lot of sense. There were two absolutely loathable characters, and one of them was the elf. His name also had an L. There's a lot of repeat letters. That was part of why I was really struggling with names. Hold on. Fennis. It doesn't have an L in it. Ignore me. Fennis, absolutely loathable. Hated him. Hated him a lot. And it's really funny because like all the rogue characters in this, I think the Galena was a rogue, so not sure, but a lot of the rogue characters were pretty deplorable in this book. So, oops. Except the goblin. The other one, I don't remember his name. I don't even want to remember his name, but the guy who kept hitting on Tandry, he pissed me off a lot. So, deplorable. Get out of here. I think that was the first comment I had on the book where I couldn't hold back my comment. I had to tell my friend like I hate this man. So that covers a lot of the different things except for the plot twist. The plot twist where Fennis set the fucking cafe on fire. Not to curse, but like How much of a terrible, greedy asshole do you have to see someone you once teamed up with being successful and think that there's only one possible reason they're successful, and that the solution is to burn down their success so that you can have it? There's a lot of things wrong there. There's a lot of things wrong there. The malice and the greed and all these other things. It's also just so short-sighted because you think there's no possible way at all, no possible way at all that the customers just like the place. If it was like some other circumstance where it's not a cafe or restaurant, maybe, like, if they were selling like magic goods, maybe I would get that. Maybe there'd be an association with the magic stone and like making magic items. But like, I think it's a bit crazy that a certain character, Fennis, was so absolutely sure that people would just magically not care about the cafe anymore with the stone gone. And Viv thought the exact same thing. Viv kind of got through it, and she got convinced to do it anyway. Which, by the way, congratulations to Cal and to Tandri for doing that. But it's just crazy. It's so short-sighted. I think what I typed to my friend when that happened, regarding Viv's emotions and how she thought there was like no way for it to happen again, I said, have you heard of this thing called Kickstarter? Because maybe like getting rid of the stone would bring your bad luck, but even if you had bad luck, the people still like the place. Unless you think that the stone is directly influencing everyone's emotions, including your own, then you already have a following and you can rebuild elsewhere. You have people who are willing to support you. So that was how I was feeling with that. Also, one more character that I forgot. Amity, the cat. Adorable. That's all. Alright. That's all I got for Legends and Lattes. Now we'll get into what's new and what is next, which is a heavy question at the moment. So, I have figured out what I'm reading, and it's a lot of things. I have completed 3 rereads in the last week, which is crazy for me. I have been reading so much. It's unbelievable how much I've read. Technically, if you include all my rereads so far, I have read 9 books this year. Maybe 10 books this year. 10 with the one I just finished. So, I read 10 books this year in 3 months, which is, I think, a record for me at all. I think even when I read the Dresden Files, I don't think I read that many. I think I've read all 15 Dresden Files books at the time in 3.5 months. So, I think that's still a little slower. So, this is like prime reading time for me, and I'm still reading. What I have next, I have 8 loans from the library on my phone right now. 8. I know, it's crazy. To be fair, 2 of them are for my roommate, but every once in a while I listen with them, so it kind of counts. So the priority right now is getting through all the loans I have, because I have so many. And I still have 4 holds also ongoing. One of those holds is Lost Metal. We'll get to that. I have a lot of books in the library, so I have a lot of reading to do. The one I'm going to do first, because it's due first, and I want to allow other people to read this book, is the prequel to Legends and Lattes, which is called Bookshops and Bone Dust. And it is not focusing. I'm trying, I'm sorry. Bookshops and Bone Dust. It's pretty quick, 8 hours. I don't own the physical book of this one, so I'm going to have to do the audiobook, but I'm not too worried about it. It's read by the author himself, so I'm sure it is just fine. So I'm going to try to read this pretty quickly and be able to comment on the prequel. The third book will be out this September. I don't think I'll need to reread these for that. I think I'll remember these pretty well, but we'll see when the time comes. At the same time as reading that, I'm doing my reread for Bands of Mourning. I already reread Alloy of Law and Shadows of Self. So next I have to finish Bands of Mourning, and then I'll be ready for Lost Metal, which is on hold right now, and I'll be getting it soon. So that's ongoing. Also, I'm rereading Traitor's Blade. And this is because I'm trying to finish ongoing series, right? Lost Metal is an example of a book I missed in a series. It's the fourth book of the tetralogy, right? This is a series, it's called Great Coats, where I read only the first book and not the other three. And so if I am finishing Mistborn Era 2, I figured I should also go back and finish Great Coats as well, just to get some of those incomplete series done. So I'm rereading Traitor's Blade. Probably after I finish Bands of Mourning, I'll start my reread of Traitor's Blade. And when I finish Traitor's Blade, I will be moving on to Night Shadow. And you can see there's a size difference between these. And so I do expect, I have expectations for Sebastian de Castell to really step it up with book 2, 3, and 4. If you remember my review, I don't think anyone really wants to see my review of Traitor's Blade from over 4 years ago. That's crazy. Traitor's Blade, I loved the first half, maybe even the first 3/4, but the end left a lot to be desired for me. And so I suspect that the author learned a lot from his first book and really stepped it up for book 2. Also, my favorite character's on the cover, so I have high hopes. So I really hope Great Coats pulls through to a series I love. I know a lot of people ended up liking the later books. So, again, I'm really hopeful because the concept of Great Coats I love. I love the concept. I want a good delivery. So, trying to read Great Coats tetralogy. And to finish our break reads, Tress of the Emerald Sea was an example of a break read. Legends and Lattes was an example of a break read to try to take a breather from all the serious fantasy series I've been reading. We have another break read coming up. The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. I said that I would go through the secret novels in order. This is the second one I got, so this is the next secret novel I will be reading. It sounds crazy. It sounds like a crazy book, so I'm very intrigued. And I think this will be the last of the break books we read, unless I finish the secret novels. If I do finish the secret novels, then that's 4 books. We still also have Yumi and the Nightmare Painter and the Sunlit Man to read as well. So we have a lot to read. This is just like a bunch of the things I will be reading as I get to them. And I'm jumping between a few, but I'm trying not to have more than 2 going on at once. I try to have like 1 reread and 1 read at the same time. I previously said that I would read House of Suns as a sci-fi break, but I think that Tress of the Emerald Sea and Legends and Lattes and probably Frugal Wizard and also Bookshops and Bone Dust are an ample amount of a break that I want to save this for when I'm really fantasy fried. So I do not think I will be reading House of Suns yet. But we will get there, I swear. We will get there. Are there any books I am missing? I think that's a lot of the big ones. Lost Metal is in my holds. Well of Ascension's in my holds. You mean the Nightmare Painter's in my holds. So, that should be it. I know that's a lot of books, but we'll make our way through them, and hopefully we'll get some more books done. and we'll see what comes after. I have a lot of plans for what comes after, but I don't want to voice them until after I finish this pile cascade I have going on right now. So, with all that said, I hope you all have a good one. Spring break is coming up. It's not this next week, but it's the week after. So I will likely be seeing y'all very soon. So I'll see you all then. Have a good one. I'll see you all. Bye-bye.